want to know the general situation in Russia? In the early 90s, our ancient state fell down. And then lots of problems everywhere.
It just became capitalized, and the country just split into two parts, completely rich and completely poor people.
Borders were open, and the hurricane of immigrants began.
It's bad when lots of people from another country, from poor countries, come to my country and try to work here.
They see us as the people who completely destroy their lives.
Never support immigrants. Just try to show that you don't like them. And that makes the atmosphere of hate. And they see that they cannot be here, and their children cannot be here.
When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Russia opened its borders, and people from the Caucasus and Central Asian regions began migrating to Russia in search of a better life. Every year, hundreds of thousands of migrants enter Russia in search of jobs in the country's growing economy. Meanwhile, Russia's native population has gone into steep decline. The ethnic balance of Russia is shifting, and there's been a backlash.
The contractor says, oh, I can hire this motherfucker and pay him just $1 per day. Why should I hire a Russian who asks for $10 per day? We are active young men who just try to see, not to close their eyes, to open their eyes. Every single moment, write about it. Think about it. Don't sit like a lazy rat in a hole, doing nothing. Just take your fist and make your life.
Attacks on immigrants have become an almost daily occurrence in Russia. Often it's the work of skinheads, inspired by the teachings of Adolf Hitler. Ironic, considering the Soviet Union lost more lives defeating the Nazis than any other country during World War II. I arrived in Moscow on April 19th, the day before Hitler's birthday, when every year there's a spike in violence around the country.
Being a black man in Moscow it's dangerous. I'm always worried. I always watch my back. If I'm going to class, I just go straight to class. I don't walk around to places I do not know.
Foreign students at some of Moscow's universities are under lockdown during the days surrounding Hitler's birthday. They aren't allowed to leave their dorms for any reason, out of fear for their safety.
We want to go out, we want to enjoy life. I mean, we want to go to class, we want to study with our friends, we want to be with our friends. It's like you're in a prison of some kind, it's like in one huge prison.
Akili came to Moscow from Tanzania to study medicine. His roommate Jonathan is Sri Lankan American and moved from Miami to study to be a plastic surgeon.
In Russia, it's completely different from what we had in the United States. They don't distinguish between colored people, whether you are tan, black, whatever, you're white or you're black. There's nothing in between.
While trapped in their dorm room, Akili and Jonathan could still see the growing presence of Russian neo-Nazis on the internet. Skinheads have started taping their racist attacks and posting them online.
The first time I watched it, I was devastated, completely devastated. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I didn't know, you don't notice all this until somebody actually puts it on your face. Hey, this is what's happening in your country, in the country that you're living in.
The attacks don't appear to be random, but rather organized and carefully orchestrated.
The skinheads, they take young kids who are completely lost, take them into their hands and say, hey, look at you right now. You have no job, no school, no nothing. You know who's the cause of that? Colored people, foreigners. And they just brainwash them their whole life. Why? Because you always need a scapegoat to explain to yourself why you are in such a bad situation.
Getting in with the neo-Nazi groups is difficult, but my translator offered to introduce me to some people who might be able to give me some insight into who was behind these videos.
these videos that we're watching on the internet of skinheads beating up immigrants. What is your opinion on that?
Ну, эти ролики, они в первую очередь пропагандистские ролики. То есть мы показываем, что у нас в России иммигрантам приезжать опасно. У нас есть коренное население, которое даст отпор этим иммигрантам. Даже сложился миф очень сильно вот в странах Кавказа, Средней Азии, что в России убивают за то, что мы не русские. Вот. И это ограничивает существенно приезд инородцев в Россию, и поэтому такие ролики продолжают выпускаться, потому что от них есть результат.
I was surprised by how easily these videos were circulating around Russia. Last year, Amnesty International declared violent racism in Russia out of control and heavily criticized authorities for not doing enough to stop it. These skinheads actually have supporters in the government. Yevgeny here is an aide to a member of the Duma, the Russian parliament, and he offered to introduce me. The following day, Yevgeny met us outside of the Duma to escort us in to meet his boss, Nikolai Koryanovich, an outspoken ultra-right-wing politician. His ideology is evident by how he decorates his office. One of the first things we noticed was a picture above his desk of his own head pasted over Stalin's body.
We've seen a lot of these videos on the internet of people attacking people of color walking around the streets. Can you comment on this?
Русские люди не хотят жить рабами на своей земле, что сейчас происходит. Поэтому если власть не занимается проблемой упорядочения миграционных процессов, то люди начинают проявлять инициативу, которая может выливаться и в различные формы насилия.
But do you actually advocate this kind of violence?
Они оправданы, прежде всего, как я и говорил, бездействием власти. Поэтому если власть, я об этом говорил в Сенат Государственной Думы, не будет дальше системно подходить к тому, что у нас происходит в России, то наше общество находится на пороге гражданской войны.
Koryanovich has proposed a number of anti-immigrant measures, including one in which Russian women who marry foreigners would have their citizenships revoked. And while measures like this may sound extreme, many Russians agree with the underlying sentiment. The internet is packed with different organizations spreading their ideas and recruiting a following. One group with a particularly strong internet presence is the National Socialist Organization, or NSO. I learned they were holding a rally in honor of Hitler's birthday. Coming up, I talk with the leader of the NSO and go to their training camp deep in the woods. And I meet the skinhead responsible for many of the violent attack videos.